Welcome to the KellFire Show. I am Dr. Kelly Barron, and today I'm so excited to have MaryEllen Reider on. She is the co-director of Yarlap, the wellness device to treat urinary incontinence and improve feminine performance and experience through muscle control. And I find this so fascinating, so I can't wait to hear all about it. She strives to empower women through their pelvic floor muscles. She enjoys getting to know her customers through social media and speaking events, and inspiring people about why the Kegel exercises and Yarlap are so important. MaryEllen and her dad have emerged as a leading voice in the pelvic floor wellness space. So, MaryEllen, welcome to the KellFire Show. Did I miss anything on the bio?
I think you covered all of it. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm excited to get into this conversation because there's so much, information out there about, are there devices that can help this? Are Kegels legitimate exercises or something else that we should be doing it, or are we doing them wrong? So, speaking of that, for listeners who might be hearing about Yarlap for the first time, can you explain what it is?
Yes, so we are an FDA cleared medical device. So we're a bona fide medical device that treats female urinary incontinence at home, and it's a mouthful. But essentially, what we do is we do pelvic floor exercises for you because they're extremely difficult to do on your own, especially if you're a woman. There's no exterior indicator or cue that you can take, like if you're doing ab exercises or arm or leg exercises, you can kind of look at yourself in the mirror. When it
Right.
comes to pelvic floor exercises, there's no such luxury. And so a lot of women tend to do those exercises incorrectly, and Yarlap fits and fixes that gap. So that's what we do.
And where can we find Yarlap?
Online, yarlap.com, and it's full of a bunch of information about the device, about the pelvic floor, why it's so important, and kind of our entire mission and why we think we're so important and why we're really proud of the results that we've gotten.
So what inspired you to develop this, and what was that journey like?
So everybody always goes, "Oh, that's so weird," whenever I tell my story, but I actually co-founded Yarlap with my dad. So it's a father-daughter company. And he's a medical device engineer. He designed a very similar sister device for the national healthcare system over in Europe, over in France, Great Britain, Germany, Scandinavia, and falsely believed that there was something similar already available in the United States for women. There was no such thing that was available for women that was readily accessible or anything like that. And so we brought that over here, and I was actually working as an intern for Women International and wanted to kind of do something different and just didn't know what it was, but I knew that I wanted to do something in regards to women. And the more complex and taboo the subject, the more I really like talking about it.
Oh, I love
And
that.
so, and so he came up to me and he said, "I have this great device, but no one wants to really listen to a dude talk about it. And you wanna talk about all things taboo. Do you wanna kinda see if this is your vibe?" And I told him, "No, I don't. This is something purely for grandmas, women in diapers. I don't wanna do it. I wanna do something more broad and will really tap all women." And he goes, "Yeah, you fell for the misinformation. Do a little research and get back to me." So I did, and I realized how wrong I was. The pelvic floor is so important to every age and every stage of womanhood, but we only talk about it like 65 plus in a really negative way.
Right.
And I was like, "This is so wonderful and amazing. Let's do something together. Let's talk about the pelvic floor. Let's talk about Kegels. Let's talk about the orgasm. Let's talk about this whole fundamental piece of this puzzle that no one wants to talk about." And that's how Yarlap came to be. And I am now the woman that's known for talking about pelvic floor muscles and peeing yourself, especially at like baby showers, including my own. So here we are.
Well, we never, growing up, at least in the Gen X generation, we had very little information on anything that had to do with our bodies. But the pelvic floor, that was a mystery. Nobody was talking to us about the pelvic floor. Maybe, maybe during pregnancy or postpartum, you might have gotten a little, and certainly not enough information about it and how important it was to, recovering from a pregnancy, from a delivery and a birth, and during pregnancy and postpartum. And then you're right, we don't even hear about it. We didn't hear about it so much during menopause and definitely not perimenopause because it wasn't even a thing we were talking about. And not until you got to the point where you had no control over your bladder, your pelvic floor, sex was painful. 65 and older, I agree with you. There was not a lot of information out there, and we should have known about this in our teens at
Mhm.
the definitely at the earliest and how important it was. Um, so when you talk to people, when you educate them about Yarlap, where do you start? And if they've heard very little about the pelvic floor.
My first thing is to tell everybody that they have one.
But
Would be
really, that's
surprised.
actually people will laugh at that statement, but that is a legitimate statement.
Yeah, like, people will literally look at me and go, "I don't have one." And I'll go, "Yeah, you do. You do." And even men will contact Yarlap and ask questions about their pelvic floor and go, "Well, I don't have one." And I'm like, "It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. You have a pelvic floor and you do need to take care of it. It's there and it does need to be treated properly and worked out and strengthened and toned." And so that's like the big kind of like the first sentence of whatever I say is like, you do have a pelvic floor. Um, and then the second thing is like, where is it located?
Good question.
It's like a hammock. It's a group of muscles. And it's kind of like a hammock if you're a visual learner like I am. It's kind of like a hammock structure that goes from your pubic bone, spine, connects all of that together. And what it does is it holds your bladder, your uterus, the visceral organs. It holds it all in place. So it's the foundation. And what happens is over time, whether that is through repetitive motion from exercise or coughing a lot, like chronic coughing, pregnancy, labor and delivery, afterwards, again, like you stated with like menopause and perimenopause, that fluctuation of hormones and that dip in hormones, those all bear weight on the pelvic floor muscles. And over time, it can weaken them. And when you think of the weakening, kind of think of that hammock sagging a little bit. And sometimes you get things slipping and shifting. And that's kind of where we get into urinary incontinence is a lot of people have this undesired effect of peeing when they laugh, sneeze, or cough. And that foundation is lacking, and a spasm happens, or there's stress and pressure put down, overactive bladder, OAB. I'm sure everybody has heard those or heard those commercials. Um, that's again that spasm, that tight hug onto your bladder from that pelvic floor. It's all intertwined. It's all within that foundation, within that hammock, and you really want to make sure that that hammock is toned. And that's kind of like my starting off point is what do I wish people knew? I wish that they knew that they had a pelvic floor muscle. I wish they knew where it was and what it looked like. And then we kind of go from there because tone is such a spectrum.
Well, so we're used to hearing now about aging and your pelvic floor and incontinence. A lot of times you'll hear after women have had multiple births, they tend to, have a weaker pelvic floor. But I would say as well as a competitive power lifter, and of course I'm 55, so we got to kind of mush the age thing together with that. But I've seen girls 24, I've seen girls 34 when we do really heavy deadlifts and squats during competition and we're bearing down, we're bracing. everybody's peeing the floor. At first, I thought I was completely broken and embarrassed the first time it happened, and I was like, "Oh, no." And why? I didn't even know why, 'cause I didn't even think about the pelvic floor. I thought I was doing something to my bladder. And then I saw the younger girls too, and then that's when I started to really look at, "Wait a second, it's not your bladder that's the direct cause of this. You have to train your pelvic floor just as much as you have to train every other muscle, tendon, ligament in your body." Um, so what in terms of I'm trying to picture what's like the size and the shape of the Yarlap? How do you put it in? Can you kind of walk us through the instructional on that? Because I'm sure some people are a little nervous or like, what do I do? What does it look? How big is it?
Yeah, and they're like, imagining something massive and bulky. It's
Well,
really
I'm
not.
sure we all
Yeah.
think about like when we go to the OBGYN,
Oh
and they
my
put the
gosh.
speculum in, and we're all like, I'm not doing that.
Which hasn't even been updated since, like, the '70s, I think, or yeah,
That's
70s.
insane.
Like, that technology has not changed, which is wild to think about when it comes to women's health. But
Yes.
for the Yarlap, it's actually extremely comfortable, and it's very small. So
That
it's about the part that's actually vaginally inserted is about the size of a tube of lipstick.
oh,
And
that's tiny.
yeah, so it's very comfortable. We designed it with female anatomy in mind. I'm pointing to myself for those who are audio only, but we designed it because we know that if something is comfortable and you feel really proud and you're getting the results, you're going to stick with it.
Right.
If it's bulky and huge, that's already a turnoff for me. So
Mhm.
why would I do that? And why would I design something that I would not even use for myself? So it's small, it's about the size of the tube of lipstick is the part that goes inside of you. And then it's controlled by a little control unit. And you are able to personalize the sensation. So it's not levels and you're not building your way up. You start off at a number and you just maintain that number. And everyone's number is going to be different. So we strongly recommend like don't compare your number because a higher number doesn't mean a stronger pelvic floor and a lower one doesn't mean a weaker one. It's just where your vulvovaginal comfort is. And just like sex, everybody is different and everyone's going to like some different sensation. But you're looking for a firm handshake in the vagina, a muscle movement. Some people have reported it feels like a butterfly fluttering or a little knocking sensation. And then some people are like, no, it just feels like a muscle movement.
And how long is there
15 to 20 minutes, 15 to 20 minutes, 3 to 5 days a week. And it takes anywhere between 2 to 12 weeks to see some form of positive response. And that's a huge window. It's like a 10-week window, but it's because with Yarlap, we're very unique in that we're able to use it as a preventative measure. So we have women who have never had incontinence issues, but they've seen their moms or their grandmas or their aunts or their friends,
Excellent
and they're like,
point.
I don't want that. And so we use that as a preventative measure. And then we have women who have not had control of their bladder and have had urinary incontinence for decades. So anywhere between 2 to 12 weeks, but we treat a wide variety of pelvic floor tone.
Now the next question is gonna be in terms of we've talked about a little bit incontinence and that's pretty much what everybody's thinking. Oh, Kegel, incontinence, pelvic floor. Um, but what about orgasm, sexual wellness? Because that plays such a huge part.
I love this question. I love talking about this. So when you're having, I want everybody to think about the last time that you had an orgasm, a good orgasm, not just like an orgasm, but a good orgasm. And so I'll just give everybody a second to think about it. But when you feel that pulse sensation happening during an orgasm, that's your pelvic floor muscles working. That's you doing a Kegel exercise. And so basically having an orgasm is a lot like having kind of this checkup, this wellness checkup to see how your pelvic floor is doing. So that pulse, that sensation is kind of what you're gearing towards when you're doing a Kegel exercise is that pulse, that fluttering feeling. And your clitoris runs directly along your pelvic floor muscles. And your clitoris is actually quite large.
Yeah, nobody knows that till I
Yeah.
had Susan Bratton on a couple weeks ago, and she's like, "Do you realize what you see is the tiniest part of a clitoris and
Yeah.
how big and where it is?"
Yeah.
It was mind-blowing,
It's
actually.
it's actually really large. And a lot of, like you said, a lot of people don't know that, but kind of the best visualization for the clitoris is kind of like a wishbone, but not really. So the bulb part that we see is kind of like the top part of the wishbone, and then it wraps around everything. And for some women, it can wrap around the anus, and it can go down your thighs even, which is why some women really like anal, and then
Right,
some women really get off having their thighs rubbed. It's because their clitoris is like basically an all-encompassing thing. It's quite large. And your pelvic floor runs right along that. Um, and so when you are doing pelvic floor exercises, and I think a lot of people think Kegel exercise is the only pelvic floor exercise. There are a lot more. Um, but Kegel is the biggest and most popular, I would say, most well known.
right,
Um, but when you're doing those, that's kind of like the feeling and the sensation that you're looking for, that pulse up feeling.
right. The
Just
elevator.
yeah. Or like a lot of the ones that I think I've seen a few dancers, they're talking about like the string method, which is like a piece of thread from the top of your head all the way to your pelvic floor muscles, and you try to lift that string up and you're trying to
Excellent.
pull it
Yeah.
for a few seconds. That's kind of like what we're trying to do. And so the stronger you're able to do these exercises, the better the protocol and the better the benefits, the stronger the response is. So you have a lot of women who, when they're doing Kegel exercises and they're doing it really well, muscle memory will take over. And all of a sudden they have this mind-blowing orgasmic experience because, again, the same muscles are moving and contracting, and that muscle memory kicks in and goes, we know how to do this, and we can do it really well, and we can do it really strong. And so you just have this kind of like mind-blowing orgasm.
I'm never gonna look at, a Thanksgiving at the turkey at the wishbone the same
You're so
ever
welcome.
again.
You are so welcome.
I'm just gonna laugh. But it's really good representation, actually. It's a really good visual,
Yeah.
to give. So will Yarlap, would that take the place of Kegels or in conjunction?
Works alongside. So a lot of people are like, I'm replacing this, or um, the better idea is it's doing it for me, because it does do it for you. You just insert it like a tampon and let it do its thing for 15 to 20 minutes. We actually do not recommend that you do the exercise along with it. The Yarlap was designed for you to literally just sit there and have the Yarlap do it all for you. And again, um, it's kind of like your best buddy when it comes to that, is it's just going to do it for you because, again, it's so hard for us to know if we're doing the right muscles, because a lot of women, when they try to do the Kegels, they'll end up using their butts, their thighs, or their abs. And if you're using that as a powerlifter, you know this. If you are using the wrong set of muscles, you're doing the protocol wrong, and you're not going to get the benefits of whatever like exercise practice you were trying to engage in. And so if you're not doing the Kegel exercise correctly and you're not using the right muscles with it, you're not going to get the benefits. So the Yarlap takes that guesswork out and just does it. It sends a signal in directly for you. And so it's doing everything for you. So I would say it's like the training wheels you always wish that you had,
Right.
because if you've been trying to do these exercises or you've been guided, your PT, we work a lot with PTs, or your OB or your doctor has told you to do Kegel exercises, and you're like, I've been trying and I just don't know how. I wish something would do it for me. Hi, we're Yarlap. for what you've been wanting.
I feel like the perfect to my romantasy book reading girls out there. This is like the perfect time to just pop it in, open your book, lay back, spend 15-20 minutes reading and and all the work is getting done for you. I
Yeah,
think
it's like, one of my friends, she does it. She's like, "I'm doing a full body wellness, in her routine," and she does, like, the red light therapy. And
oh,
so she's just sitting there, so
right.
she's like, at night, I just sit with my book, and I'm reading red light therapy on my face, my Yarlap downstairs, and, like, my nice comfy pajamas, and I'm just 20 minutes, and I just sit there, and I just wait. I wait for everything to be done. It's just like, I don't have to do anything. It's all just being done for me, and I'm
It's
like, "Oh, that's
it's
actually really
really
brilliant."
like, it's such a good and we think about our skincare, we think about our routines for it when we talk self-care, we think
Mhm.
about mental, our faces, working out. So rare that we think about, our vulva, vagina, pelvic floor, things like that as actual and highly important self-care. We
Oh,
and
yeah.
obviously you've laid that out pretty well for us as to why we need to be considering that self-care.
Yeah, I think it's just so often forgot because we don't talk about it because anything below the belly button is so taboo. Like, it's personal. You figure it out on your own time, on your own research. And in reality, it's like this is a huge part of your quality of life.
Uh, Insane amount.
Like, you don't want to be laughing and peeing yourself, coughing and peeing yourself, or, bathroom mapping. Um,
Right.
and and you don't want to have to live your life going bathroom to bathroom, and you want to have a really good orgasm. And sex, you don't want sex to be lackluster or for it to be painful, because I think what we've been talking about more is lack of tone. But there are a lot of people who have, a hypertonic pelvic floor muscle, which is
Correct.
the opposite end of that spectrum. Um, and that makes sex really painful, right? Like, you feel like you're being stabbed, it's burning, it hurts. Any kind of penetration, and one of my friends, the creator of the O Nut, Emily, that's her realm, to kind of bring and bridge that gap. But it's so not talked about, but it's so important because, again, like, pleasure is a big part of your life. Um, and so you wanna make sure that, again, that tone is not too tight, and you wanna learn how to relax. And again, that can also go into, um, labor and delivery,
Right.
where you're told to relax and push, and you're doing it without an epidural or with part of an epidural or fully with an epidural, and you're like, "How am I supposed to relax when I'm in possibly the greatest pain I've ever felt in my entire life?
Exactly.
How am I supposed to relax? Also, stop telling me to relax because that's making me more tense."
Right.
So you wanna have that, again, that muscle memory of, like, your body knows how to relax. That muscle just kinda knows deep breath, exercises, relax, um, and we can help with that as well. So it's again, the pelvic floor is so important to every chapter of your life, but we only focus on it, like you said, 65 plus, when it's already quote unquote too late. And that's also very false, is that it's not. It's just like any muscle in your body. You want to maintain that tone, you want to keep it exercised, you want to keep that blood flow and that respiration, and it's not ever too late to bring that tone or to try to achieve that tone.
For women that are just getting started now with pelvic floor training or we'll call it pelvic floor self-care, where would you say to get started? Like, what are the top thing to start with?
I would say check in with yourself and see where you are on like, on that tone spectrum,
Uh-huh.
because you're your biggest advocate, and you will know your body better than anybody else, before you go in and see a physical therapist or your doctor. And then that's if you have the luxury. I know right now healthcare is a luxury that a lot of people have, but I would make that appointment because you want to see where you are. You want to see if you're if you're tight, because you don't want to clench an already tightened muscle. That's not going to do you any favors. It's not going to give you any benefits. You want to make sure that you have, and you speak with your doctor and you get your doctor on board. If your doctor's not on board, get a new doctor.
So good. Yeah.
Because they're working for you. they're they are there to help you guide your body. No one knows your body better than you do. Be upfront and honest with them. They do not care if you pee yourself and laugh. They're not going to think, oh, that's embarrassing. I have never met a doctor who has had that reaction. They're all like, okay, yeah. All right, well, here's how we fix it. And so you want to kind of make sure that you know where you are on that tone, because again, you want to know, should I do Kegel exercises to clench and tone, or should I be doing relaxation muscles to relax and tone? And I would say that that's the biggest part, is where that's going to be the starting part of your map. And then from there, self-plug for Yarlap. The Yarlap can guide you for the rest of the way. But we need to know, and you need to know from a licensed healthcare professional standpoint, where you are. Don't guess on this stuff. Don't self-diagnose on it. I know in like the age of, and I've fallen guilty of this so many times, especially during my pregnancy, is like self-diagnosis from TikTok. Don't do that.
Yeah. Oh,
Don't do that.
Right into Google.
Yeah. Don't Dr. Google yourself. Don't TikTok doctor yourself. Go see somebody who knows your medical history, who knows you, and sit down and talk to you and guess your tone. That's the big thing.
Are you getting a lot of positive response from pelvic floor therapists, doctors, as to being open to the device?
Oh, yeah. I think once they know that we exist and that we're here, they're really on board, because a lot of times pelvic floor therapists, especially, there are so many patients and not enough time in a day. And so if you are lucky to get into a pelvic floor physical therapist that specializes in this, one, you're extremely lucky. There should be a lot more of them. It's a big field, and we need a lot of PTs for pelvic floor. But they can see most patients once a month. If you're lucky, once every other week. And if you're having like an hour, which really kind of equates out to 45 minutes, once a month or twice a month, they end up getting blamed. And it's so unfair for them to be, it's unjust for them to be blamed, right? Where they're like, well, I'm seeing this, I'm not getting any benefits. Well, it's because it's so difficult, again, for us as women to do these exercises that are so deeply isolated within our body. If we had a penis and we were trying to do a Kegel exercises, our penis would literally go up and down.
Yeah, it'd be so easy.
Yeah. Women don't have that luxury. It's literally to a point where sometimes you can do the Oxford test, which is stick a finger into your vagina and see if you can clench it. But I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to sit there and try to see if I'm doing that for 20 minutes a day.
Right.
And so we have a lot of physical therapists who actually use us as training wheels between appointments. And so they're like, we work with a lot of them, and thank you for your support. But they'll recommend us for their clients, because they know what needs to be done and how to do it, and they want to make sure that it's done properly between set appointments, so that they're not taking one step forward, 2 steps back.
Right.
Each time they're moving forward with each appointment. So yeah, it's I would say the response has been really good. And they're familiar with the technology, so it's like a happy little partnership. Yeah.
Well, what is the future for Yarlap then from here?
Oh my gosh, loaded question. Okay, so what I would love is, I would love for everyone to know Yarlap. I would love for Yarlap to kind of be the chapstick of this industry, right? Like, chapstick is actually a brand name.
Right.
but everybody knows it's just chapstick. I would love for that to be us when it comes to pelvic floor health. I would love for that to be like synonymous of Yarlap and pelvic floor wellness and like benefits of that. That's what I would love. Um, and I think that that kind of comes with speaking to podcasters like you and working with clinics.
Right. Oh, I agree.
Yeah. I mean, they're our best buds. So keep pushing that line forward.
Well, as we wrap up, where are all the social medias, websites, everywhere that everybody can follow you? Because I'm sure so many people are like their interest is peaked now, and the fact that it's not something that's going to hurt. It's not something that's crazy and huge and complicated to do. It's something actually probably most people are going to find very relaxing to accomplish. They're going to want to search this out. So do please tell us everywhere we can follow you, find you.
So, we actually had, I don't know if you've ever had anybody had, um, but for women's health had issues with social media and being taken down. So we
Yes,
had,
because mhm. Oh,
because
I
of,
know.
yeah. So we got trapped in that. And we actually had to restart our Facebook page, which had thousands of people on it. And then we lost them because the Facebook algorithm took
Right.
us down. And then um, we were basically told over the phone, we can't reinstate you. You'll have to start all over. So you can find us on Facebook, but it's going to be Yarlap with Auto Kegel Technology. You can find us on TikTok. It's just Yarlap. Same thing with Instagram. It's just Yarlap. And then our website is just chocked full of information about the Yarlap and about the pelvic floor muscles as well.
And I wanna close with this because this brings up a really good subject. This is a device, and there's so many things, even lubricant. I mean, you could name it, arousal creams. There's so many tools for a woman's toolbox out there for her self-care, to help her with any pain, to just increase pleasure. These are all very important things to our health, and social media will not let us talk about it.
Mhm.
They'll let us talk about all things penis,
Oh, yeah.
but we are not allowed well, we can't talk about sex in general, and we can't talk about anything feminine.
Mhm.
And it makes absolutely no sense to me. So I do encourage everyone to like and follow you because it only just helps keep spreading the word.
Yes.
More and
Thank you.
more, we're figuring the loopholes out. And I love the new, it went from sex to segs to yoga positions. Now is what we're calling sex on Instagram just to get past the algorithm, which is absolutely ridiculous. But I applaud you as being a woman, a co-founder, taking this sword up for women's health. It's so important and just bringing it out to everyone. It is I can't even stress enough how important that pelvic floor is in all areas of your life. And do not wait to start working on your pelvic floor health. Don't wait till it's too late.
Yeah. And I would say a lot of people feel shame and embarrassment when it comes to this area. Like for some reason, we feel like we're all alone when it comes to vulvovaginal area. But like I said at the beginning, everybody has a pelvic floor. 50% of the population has a vagina. You're not alone. The statistics are with you.
Right.
And this is such a huge part. Your pelvic floor is such a huge part of your quality of life that there's no reason for you to be embarrassed about it. If anybody makes you feel judged or embarrassed by it, the person who's making you feel judged and embarrassed should be embarrassed. And you should feel like a
Absolutely.
hero that you're talking about it because, again, statistics are on your side. Um, there's so many women in the world, and we all need help with upkeep. There's not a single woman on this planet who is picture perfect. Um,
No.
we all need help. We all need help with our pelvic floors, and the best way to do that is to chat, talk with each other, um, and ask for help and get the proper resources and tools. And if that happens to be the Yarlap, fantastic. If not, in something else, okay, fantastic. But never feel alone or judged or embarrassed when you're talking about this because you should never feel that way when it comes to your health, ever.
No, and this is something that, you talked about where the shame and the embarrassment, this is all normal. The percentage of women that have GSM, genital urinary syndrome, as we age is skyrocketing. It's not that it's normal to be in pain or feel uncomfortable or to be embarrassed, but this is a normal process of our body transitioning from one stage to the other. There should be no embarrassment. And the people, if they are making you feel embarrassed and they're women, they're probably going through it too. And just keep talking about it.
Yeah.
Just
Stand higher up on your soapbox
Yeah,
because
seek more support.
more people are gonna talk about it, but it's actually fine that you talked about that really quick. Statistics, but, University of Michigan, like 4 years ago or something like that, they ran a study with urinary incontinence in women over 55, I believe it is. It jumps to, like, 49% of women have experienced some form of leaks, which is insane to think about because
Right.
so many people who fall within that demographic. And to think that they're just sitting and they don't know what to do, or they're thinking that this is a normal part of aging. It's just because it's normal does not make it common. And it's your body signaling that it does need a little bit of assistance, and maybe you
Mhm.
do need a tool. Um, and there's no shame in that. So again, talk about it openly, and figure out what resource, what tools that you need that fit in your life. And again, if it's your life, wonderful. If not, okay, that's fine. But keep talking about your health because the only way that we destigmatize it is if we just make it normal.
Well, that you said that statistic 54 and up. So, I've got my phone. I'm now ordering at 55. So I think, well, while the statistic is against me, I might as well go order it now.
It's like 1/3, 1 in every 3 or 4 women, depending on the study that you look at. It's like 1 in every 3 women in the United States will has suffered from some form of urinary incontinence, and then
Mhm.
they, like, took it further to see what that age how it differentiates within different age groups, and it's wild, but no one talks about it because 'cause we're so embarrassed. But if such a huge percentage of women are having this experience, we need to be talking about it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And Mary Ellen, I want to thank you so much again, A, for being inspiring, B, for pushing this forward so that there's more recognition for women, opening the door to not being embarrassed and no shame. And I do hope everyone follows you. I'm not kidding. I'm going to get on there and get a Yarlap right now because, again, statistics are against me. Um, but thank you so much for taking time out of day. I know how busy it is to be an entrepreneur and to get through this life. So I appreciate the time you took today.
Thank you so much for allowing me to talk on your platform. It means a lot. Thank you.
Well, I hope you have a wonderful day and goodbye to everybody out there listening to us.